guys, I'm eating some almonds. So I made a video a while back called What It's Really Like to Write a Song with Someone, where I showed the unadulterated process of me and my friend Will, whose room this is, writing a song together. And this year I've written a lot of songs with people, some of them strangers, some of them friends. I've had the honor of meeting a lot of super cool people and working with them. And for people who are beginner songwriters, or even just like not even beginner songwriters, co-writing seems like it's a really scary thing. And so I just wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks of how to be a good co-writer and how to go into sessions writing with people, how to have the right mindset and the right attitude in order to actually write a really cool song with someone and make them want to write a song with you again. Here are some co-writing tips. I've learned these from many times of hard experience. I'm joking. No, co-writes are always really fun. I haven't had like a really bad co-writing experience before. I've written a lot of songs with people that have ended up going nowhere or ended up like we just never talked again. That's happened many times. I've gone to a lot of strangers' houses. I've met people from the internet. Here's some tricks that I picked up along the way. 1. Have ideas ready. This doesn't mean that you're going to 100% work on the ideas. It's just, especially if you're working with someone that you've never met before, when you walk in and talk about their life and have a conversation with them and get to know them a little bit and then start the actual songwriting process, if they're like, oh, so what have you been thinking about? What have you been doing? And you're just like, it's gonna take a freaking long time for you to actually end up writing a song, and it's gonna be irritating. I've gotten to this point with co-writing where I'm just not interested in skirting around ideas and just tossing the what do you want to write about question back and forth, because it's unproductive and it doesn't get you anywhere. So have some ideas that you're thinking about, and you might end up not writing about any of those, and that's totally fine. But it makes you feel a little bit more prepared and a little bit more productive. Also, it can be a really cool thing because if you have an idea, even if you don't end up working on it, if someone really likes that idea and has a really positive reaction to that, that can really break the ice and make you feel a lot more comfortable and ready to write. There's always this like kind of stressful moment in the beginning where you're like, what if they hate all of my ideas? What if I suck? And what if they regret doing this? But if you have an idea ready and they're impressed by it or interested in it, then it kind of makes you feel a lot more competent and able and excited about being part of a song. So along with that, number 2, share your ideas. Share them, say them out loud all the time. Do not pretend that you don't have any intellectual capacity to think of an original concept just because you're afraid that the other person won't like what you came up with. Literally, the process of writing a song with someone is getting comfortable enough that you can disagree and you can create and you can pass back and forth the baton of ideas until you get somewhere that you both like. And you can't do that unless you continuously share your ideas with them. And maybe you had a really good idea that they wouldn't know about if you were just too scared to say it out loud. Thirdly, empathy. Empathy, empathy, empathy. You want to share your ideas and you want to make sure that you're not settling for something that you really, really don't like in a way that makes you feel like the song isn't even yours in any way. But you really have to put yourself into the headspace of the other person and think about where they're coming from with their ideas. And maybe if the song is kind of like largely pioneered by them in terms of it being primarily their concept or their story that they want to tell, being able to put yourself in their mindset and say, what are they trying to say? And how can I help them say that? And sometimes that means sacrifice. Writing a song with someone is literally just like having any kind of relationship with a person. It takes love, it takes servanthood, it takes sacrifice, it takes honesty and vulnerability. All of those things apply to songwriting. Whether you're writing a surface level dance pop song to a extremely deep personal story about their life or your life. 4, set up a no bullshit zone. I say this at the beginning of every session I do. Like, actually, if you don't like one of my ideas, you have to tell me. If you are not interested in something I'm talking about, you have to tell me. If you are not vibing, tell me. It's all about authenticity and vulnerability, bro. And the more you work with someone, the more comfortable you'll be with that environment. Because I say no bullshit zone, but there is still this kind of like yeah, cool, yeah, that's really good in the beginning. But as you work with someone more, or even just as you work with a bunch of different people and get used to that dynamic, you get better at reading people's micro expressions and reactions. If you play something or tell them an idea, sometimes you can just tell right away if they are just like not super into it, and then you can figure out what to do with that. The people in the room need to be sensitive enough to each other's reactions and to each other's ideas and expressions to kind of read what the person is feeling if they're not able to be super upfront about not liking something. But sometimes the person will straight up not like something and they'll be like, yes, but I think we can use it because like if you really like it, I'm okay with it. But then there's other things where people are just like, under no circumstance will we use this line. This one time I was writing a song with Will. We were trying to crack this one line and I kept being like, fingertips on repeat, come on.
Fingertips on repeat.
That's a great line. And everybody else in the room was like,
no.
No. Luckily, I realized later that that is a really bad line. I am glad that they all vetoed it. But I could also just read their reactions enough to know that they weren't into it. And I would be really upset if they were like, for sure, yeah, sounds good, when they weren't. Fifthly, this probably should be like the #1 thing, but you also just need to like remember it throughout the session. You can write songs. You are able to do it. You have original ideas. You know what you're doing. You have interesting and good thoughts that are worthwhile, and you're capable in participating in writing a great song. Remember that. If someone doesn't like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 ideas you have, that doesn't mean you are a bad songwriter or that you have no good ideas. It just means that sometimes there's a specific vibe that they're going for the song, and you're just not currently thinking of something that matches that. It doesn't say anything about your ability as a songwriter or who you are as a person. Sometimes songs just don't work out. That's not the most important thing about co-writing, because #6, relationships are more important than songs. Yep, I said it. The person I wrote with said that to me, and it's just been proven time and time again throughout the entire year. You can write a great song with someone and never see them again. That's one song. And if you get cuts for that, or if that does something, then you only get that one song. But if you develop a real, authentic relationship with someone, they're gonna have your back. And even if you don't finish the first 2 or 3 songs you start working on, if they like you as a person and you have a good relationship with them, they're gonna keep coming back to you. And you're gonna be interwoven into all of the communities that they're already part of, so that you're gonna meet even more people to write with. You're just gonna have this whole network of other co-writes. So don't beat yourself up for not finishing a song with someone. The way more important thing is being a person that they want to write with again, regardless of whether or not you write a song with them the first few times you meet. Like, I know some people who I wrote several songs with, none of them did anything, and then months and months later, they still came back to me wanting to work with me again. And it was because of the relationship we developed. It wasn't because I wrote a bunch of #1 hits for them and they wanted to get more where that came from. Relationships are the most important thing. And lastly, just to reiterate, know what you're worth. Opportunities will come and go. People will come and go. Song ideas will come and go. But the stable thing in all of this is your ability as a writer, which is not something that is fluid or up and down. You have the ability to write songs, and that is something you stake your claim on, not the opportunities that come and go. All right, well, learning how to write with other people is a whole different process than learning how to write, and it's really scary and really hard. But the utter bliss of having an entire completed song that properly shows both you and the other person is like blissful. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that was helpful to you in some way. Co-writing is great. You should do it as much as you can. In the beginning of taking sessions, take all the sessions you can take. Work with whoever you can work with. Please follow me on Patreon and Instagram, and please subscribe to this channel. Have a great day.